As a surgeon who treats men well into their 70s and 80s, I want to begin by correcting a dangerous myth. Strong erections are not supposed to disappear just because you cross 65. What actually changes with age is not desire or masculinity, it's blood flow. And blood flow is something we can support. Erections are a vascular event. They depend on healthy arteries, flexible blood vessels, and the body's ability to release nitric oxide. Over time, inflammation, poor diet, and metabolic stress damage the lining of blood vessels. When that lining weakens, circulation suffers and erections weaken as a result. Now, here's where most men are surprised. There is one simple food that consistently supports this system better than almost anything else is beetroot. Beetroot is rich in natural nitrates. In the body, these convert into nitric oxide, the same molecule targeted by many prescription medications. Nitric oxide relaxes blood vessels, improves circulation, and allows more blood to reach the tissues that need it most, including the penis. Clinical research shows that regular consumption of beetroot improves endothelial function, lowers blood pressure, and enhances oxygen delivery. For men over 65, this is critical. Better circulation doesn't just support erections, it supports heart health, brain function, and overall vitality. What matters most is consistency. A small serving of beetroot juice, roasted beets, or beet powder several times a week can make a measurable difference over time. This is not a stimulant, it's nourishment for your vascular system. I also want to be clear, food is not magic and it doesn't replace medical care. But when combined with movement, sleep, and metabolic control, the right food becomes a powerful ally. Many of my patients notice stronger, more reliable erections within weeks, not because they forced their bodies, but because they supported them. Aging is not the enemy. Neglect is. When you feed your blood vessels, you feed your performance, your confidence, and your quality of life. Strong erections after 65 are not a fantasy. They are a biological possibility when you give your body what it actually needs. Erectile strength after 65 depends far more on blood flow and vascular health than on hormones alone. And this is one of the most misunderstood aspects of male aging. Many men assume that declining testosterone is the primary reason erections become weaker with age. But in reality, testosterone levels often remain sufficient for sexual function well into later life. The real issue is that erections are fundamentally a circulation event. Without strong, flexible, and responsive blood vessels, even normal hormone levels cannot produce a firm or lasting erection. As men age, the inner lining of blood vessels, known as the endothelium, gradually becomes less efficient. This lining plays a critical role in releasing nitric oxide, a molecule that signals blood vessels to relax and widen. When nitric oxide production declines, blood vessels become stiffer and narrower, limiting the amount of blood that can flow into the pineal tissue. Since erections require a rapid and sustained influx of blood, even small reductions in vascular efficiency can have a noticeable impact on performance. Another key factor is that the arteries supplying the penis are much smaller than those supplying the heart or brain. This means they are often the first to show signs of vascular aging or damage. Conditions such as high blood pressure, insulin resistance, elevated cholesterol, and chronic inflammation all accelerate damage to these small vessels long before a man experiences chest pain or other cardiovascular symptoms. Erectile changes may appear as an early warning sign of declining vascular health. What makes this especially important after 65 is that lifestyle habits compound over decades. Years of poor diet, inactivity, smoking, or unmanaged stress slowly impair circulation. The body adapts for a time, but eventually the system struggles to keep up. Erections may become less firm, less predictable, or take longer to achieve, not because desire is gone, but because blood delivery is compromised. The encouraging truth is that blood vessels remain responsive at any age. Unlike certain structural changes in the body, vascular function can improve when the right conditions are restored. Better nutrition, regular physical activity, improved sleep, and reduced inflammation can enhance nitric oxide availability and vessel flexibility. This is why many men notice meaningful improvements without hormone therapy when they focus on cardiovascular health. It's also why medications for erectile dysfunction work the way they do. They don't increase desire or masculinity. They enhance blood flow by supporting nitric oxide signaling. This further confirms that erections are not primarily about hormones. Especially later in life, they are about circulation. Understanding this shift changes everything. Instead of feeling defeated by age, men can view erectile health as a reflection of overall vascular wellness. Supporting blood flow supports sexual function, energy levels, mental clarity, and longevity. After 65, strong erections are not about turning back the clock. They are about maintaining and protecting the blood vessels that make performance possible in the first place. One of the most overlooked truths about erectile health after 65 is that the body does not suddenly lose its ability to respond. It loses efficiency because the systems that support circulation become less supported over time. Erections rely on a precise biological sequence. Nerves send a signal, blood vessels respond by relaxing, blood rushes into the pineal tissue, and that blood is then held in place long enough to maintain firmness. When this sequence weakens, the problem is rarely desire or motivation. It is almost always a breakdown in vascular responsiveness. Nitric oxide plays a central role in this process. It is the chemical messenger that tells blood vessels to widen and allow increased blood flow. With aging, nitric oxide production naturally declines, but the decline accelerates when the endothelium is damaged by poor nutrition, chronic inflammation, elevated blood sugar, or long-term stress. The result is sluggish circulation, slower response times, and erections that feel weaker or less reliable. This is where diet becomes far more powerful than most men realize. Certain foods directly influence nitric oxide availability and endothelial health. Among them, beetroot stands out because it contains high levels of natural nitrates that the body efficiently converts into nitric oxide. This conversion does not depend on youthful hormones or aggressive stimulation. It works with the body's existing pathways, making it especially valuable after 65. Regular intake of beetroot has been shown to improve blood vessel flexibility and increase oxygen delivery to tissues. For erectile function, this means better filling of the pineal chambers and improved rigidity. Importantly, this effect is gradual and cumulative. It is not about a single dose before intimacy, but about nourishing the vascular system consistently so it can perform when needed. What many men find surprising is that the benefits are not limited to sexual health. Improved circulation supports heart function, lowers blood pressure, enhances endurance, and even improves cognitive clarity. These systemic improvements feed back into sexual confidence and performance. When the body feels stronger and more capable overall, sexual response naturally follows. Another critical factor is timing and integration. Consuming beetroot as part of a balanced diet, alongside lean protein, healthy fats, fiber, and regular movement, creates an environment where nitric oxide can be produced and preserved. Excess sugar, ultra-processed foods, and smoking actively destroy nitric oxide, canceling out many benefits. This is why consistency and context matter more than quantity. After 65, the goal is not to force the body into performance, but to remove the barriers that limit it. Supporting blood vessels, reducing inflammation, and restoring efficient signaling allow erections to become stronger and more dependable over time. When men understand that one well-chosen food can support the very mechanism erections depend on, they stop chasing quick fixes and start investing in long-term function. This shift in understanding often leads to improvements that feel both natural and sustainable. Aging brings changes to every system in the body, but one of the most important distinctions to understand after 65 is the difference between decline and neglect. Sexual function does not disappear simply because of age. It diminishes when the biological systems that support it are no longer maintained. Erections remain possible because the anatomical structures are still present and responsive, but the signals that activate them become weaker when circulation and vascular health are compromised. At the center of this process is the health of the blood vessels that supply the penis. These vessels are extremely sensitive to damage from inflammation, oxidative stress, and metabolic imbalance. Over decades, even small insults add up. Elevated blood sugar stiffens arteries, high blood pressure strains vessel walls, and chronic stress disrupts normal nerve signaling. Each of these factors chips away at the body's ability to deliver blood efficiently when it matters most. What is often misunderstood is that the nervous system may still be sending the correct signals for arousal, but the blood vessels simply cannot respond with the same speed or strength they once did. This creates frustration and confusion. Desire may be present, intimacy may be desired, yet the physical response lags behind. Recognizing this mismatch is essential because it shifts the focus away from psychological blame and toward physiological support. Nutrition plays a pivotal role in reversing this pattern. When the body is supplied with nutrients that protect the endothelium and promote nitric oxide production, blood vessels regain some of their lost flexibility. Beetroot in particular has gained attention because it supports this exact mechanism. Its natural nitrate content enhances nitric oxide availability, improving blood flow without overstimulating the system. This makes it uniquely suited for older men whose bodies benefit more from support than from force. Consistency is where the real change happens. A single dietary adjustment will not undo years of vascular stress, but repeated daily choices can gradually restore function. As circulation improves, Erections often become firmer, last longer, and require less effort. Men frequently report that the response feels more spontaneous again, not because desire increased, but because the body is once again capable of responding efficiently. There is also a psychological benefit to understanding this process. When men realize that erectile changes are not a personal failure but a signal from the body, anxiety decreases. Reduced performance anxiety further improves nerve signaling and blood flow, creating a positive feedback loop. Confidence returns not through pressure, but through trust in the body's restored capability. After 65, sexual health becomes a reflection of overall wellness. Supporting blood flow supports energy, mood, and resilience. Erections are not isolated events. They are part of a larger system that thrives when inflammation is lowered and circulation is optimized. By addressing the root cause rather than chasing symptoms, men can experience meaningful improvements that align with both their age and their long-term health. One of the most important shifts that occurs after 65 is that the body becomes less forgiving of habits that once seemed harmless. In earlier decades, poor sleep, inconsistent nutrition, or prolonged stress might not have produced immediate consequences. Over time, however, these factors quietly damage blood vessels, disrupt metabolic balance, and interfere with the delicate signaling required for healthy erections. Sexual performance begins to mirror overall health more closely, acting as a barometer for what is happening inside the body. Erections depend on the ability of blood vessels to relax quickly and fully in response to arousal. This relaxation is controlled by nitric oxide, which is released by healthy endothelial cells lining the arteries. With age, these cells are exposed to years of oxidative stress, inflammation, and blood sugar spikes. As a result, nitric oxide production becomes less reliable, and blood vessels lose some of their elasticity. The penis, with its small and highly sensitive arteries, is often the first place where these changes become noticeable. Many men respond to this change by focusing only on symptoms, searching for immediate solutions that force blood flow temporarily. While these approaches can be helpful in certain situations, they do not address the underlying issue. Long-term improvement comes from restoring the health of the vascular system itself. This is where daily dietary choices become especially powerful because they influence inflammation levels and endothelial function around the clock. Foods that naturally support nitric oxide production offer a unique advantage. Beetroot is a prime example because it works through a pathway that remains active even in older age. The natural nitrates it contains are converted by the body into nitric oxide, improving circulation without placing additional strain on the heart or nervous system. This gentle, supportive mechanism aligns well with the needs of men over 65. What makes this approach effective is that it supports the body rather than overriding it. Improved blood flow enhances the body's natural erectile response instead of replacing it. Over time, men often notice not just stronger erections, but also improved stamina, warmer extremities, and better blood pressure control. These changes reinforce the idea that erectile health is inseparable from cardiovascular health. Equally important is the role of inflammation. Chronic low-grade inflammation damages blood vessels and accelerates aging. Diets high in refined carbohydrates, processed oils, and excess sugar actively impair nitric oxide availability. In contrast, nutrient-dense foods help protect the endothelium and preserve vascular responsiveness. When supportive foods are chosen consistently, the cumulative effect can be significant. After 65, sexual function becomes less about intensity and more about efficiency. When blood flow is restored and inflammation is reduced, erections can feel more natural and dependable. This not only improves intimacy, but also restores confidence and a sense of vitality. By focusing on vascular support rather than quick fixes, men give their bodies the opportunity to perform well in a way that is sustainable, healthy, and aligned with long-term well-being. After 65, many men begin to believe that changes in sexual performance are inevitable and irreversible, but this belief often does more harm than the aging process itself. When expectations drop, men stop paying attention to the subtle signals their bodies send. Erectile changes are not random events. They are messages reflecting the condition of blood vessels, metabolic health, and daily habits accumulated over decades. Understanding this connection restores a sense of control that many men feel they have lost. The penis is one of the most vascularly sensitive organs in the body. It requires rapid dilation of small arteries and efficient trapping of blood to maintain firmness. With age, these small vessels are exposed to prolonged stress from high blood pressure, fluctuating blood sugar, and oxidative damage. Even when major arteries appear healthy, microvascular damage can interfere with erectile response. This is why erections may weaken even in men who feel otherwise well. What makes this stage of life unique is that the body becomes more responsive to supportive interventions. While youthful systems can tolerate poor habits, Older systems benefit quickly when stressors are removed and nourishment is improved. Supporting nitric oxide production becomes a central strategy because nitric oxide governs how effectively blood vessels respond to arousal signals. Without it, even strong nerve signals cannot produce a reliable erection. Dietary support plays a key role here. Natural sources of nitrates, such as beetroot, provide the raw materials the body needs to generate nitric oxide efficiently. Unlike stimulants or synthetic enhancers, this process respects the body's own regulatory mechanisms. Blood vessels relax when they are supposed to, allowing erections to occur in a way that feels organic rather than forced. Consistency again determines success. Men who incorporate supportive foods into their regular routine often notice gradual but meaningful changes. Erections may become easier to achieve, more stable, and less dependent on perfect conditions. Morning erections may reappear, signaling improved nocturnal blood flow and vascular health. These signs indicate that the underlying system is functioning better, not just that symptoms are being masked. Another important benefit is improved confidence. When erectile response becomes more predictable, anxiety decreases. Lower anxiety improves nerve signaling and reduces stress hormone levels, both of which further enhance blood flow. This creates a reinforcing cycle where physical improvement supports psychological ease, and psychological ease supports physical response. After 65, the goal is not to compete with youth, but to optimize the body that exists now. Sexual health becomes an extension of self-care rather than a measure of worth. By supporting blood vessels, reducing inflammation, and nourishing the systems that enable circulation, men can experience erections that are strong enough, reliable enough, and satisfying. This approach respects both the biology of aging and the desire for continued intimacy, proving that meaningful sexual function remains achievable well into later life. By the time a man reaches his mid-60s, his body is no longer responding to shortcuts, quick fixes, or temporary stimulation in the way it once did. What it responds to now is support. Erectile function at this stage of life is less about pushing the system and more about restoring balance to it. When men understand this shift, they stop feeling frustrated and start seeing real, lasting improvement. At its core, an erection is a sign that multiple systems are working together smoothly. The brain sends a signal, nerves transmit it clearly, blood vessels open efficiently, and blood remains trapped long enough to maintain firmness. Aging does not erase this pathway, but it does make it more sensitive to disruption. Reduced circulation, chronic inflammation, poor sleep, and metabolic stress all interfere with this delicate coordination. When erections weaken, it is often because one or more of these systems is under strain. What is encouraging is that the body remains adaptable well into later life. Blood vessels can regain flexibility, endothelial cells can function better, and nitric oxide signaling can improve when the environment inside the body becomes more supportive. This is why lifestyle and nutrition have such a powerful impact after 65. Small, consistent changes often produce noticeable results because the body has been operating below its potential for years. Supporting nitric oxide production becomes especially important at this age. Nitric oxide is the molecule that allows blood vessels to relax and fill properly. Without it, erections become unreliable regardless of desire. Certain foods naturally enhance this process, providing the body with what it needs to improve circulation without overstimulation. When blood flow improves, erectile response often follows naturally. Men who focus on vascular support frequently notice changes beyond the bedroom. Energy levels improve, recovery becomes easier, and overall stamina increases. These improvements reinforce confidence, which further enhances sexual response. Confidence reduces stress hormones, improves nerve signaling, and allows the body to respond without hesitation. Sexual health, mental clarity, and physical vitality begin to align again. Another important aspect is patience. After decades of wear and tear, the body does not reverse overnight. But when supportive habits are repeated daily, progress accumulates. Erections may become firmer, more predictable, and less dependent on ideal circumstances. This reliability is often more meaningful than intensity because it restores trust in the body's ability to respond. Perhaps the most powerful shift is psychological. When men stop viewing erectile changes as a personal failure and start seeing them as a health signal, motivation replaces shame. The focus moves from performance pressure to self-care. This mindset alone reduces anxiety, which is a major barrier to erectile function at any age. After 65, sexual health becomes a reflection of how well the body is supported overall. When circulation is protected, inflammation is reduced, and signaling pathways are nourished, erections remain possible and satisfying. Aging does not end sexual capability. It simply demands a smarter, more supportive approach. When men meet that demand, The body often responds in ways that surprise them. As we come to the end, I want to leave you with one clear message: aging is not the end of vitality, desire, or intimacy. What changes with time is not your worth or your masculinity, but the level of support your body requires. Strong erections after 65 are not about chasing youth or relying on pressure. They are about understanding your biology and working with it. When you support blood flow, reduce inflammation, and nourish your vascular system, you are not just improving sexual function, you are improving your overall health. The same circulation that supports erections also supports your heart, your brain, and your energy. This is why real improvement feels natural and sustainable, not forced or temporary. Progress does not come from perfection. It comes from consistent, small choices made daily. When you shift your focus from quick fixes to long-term support, confidence returns. And when confidence returns, performance often follows. Remember, erectile changes are not a failure, they are feedback. Listen to your body, give it what it needs, and allow it the time to respond. Strong, reliable erections after 65 are not a myth. They are a reflection of a body that is being cared for, respected, and supported. Your health, your confidence, and your intimacy are worth that commitment.